Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So, we do have a couple of big games to talk about today for the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. We did get a reveal for an upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive that also got dated on the Xbox, and this game is looking interesting to say the least. And then on top of that, we finally got an update on Grand Theft Auto 6, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Pokemon Legends Arceus later, as it does seem like Nintendo has been heavily rewarded for their little experiment with Pokemon Legends Arceus. So we do have a lot to go over today, so let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Halo Infinite. So I think it's safe to say that Halo Infinite is a really good game. I actually think it's one of the best multiplayer games, competitive multiplayer games on the market. It's got a good single-player campaign with an interesting story, and I think 343 did a really good job with Halo Infinite in terms of its gameplay. It's genuinely probably the most fun I've had in a Halo game since Halo 3, and it does seem like most of the community kind of agrees with that Halo Infinite, in terms of how it feels, its gunplay, the mechanics, all of it feels absolutely excellent. But one thing that Halo Infinite needs to kind of have fans stick around a little bit longer is more content. And that is something that 343 has struggled to really relay to their fans on exactly when they're going to get more content. Of course, we've known that they've had to delay a few key components of the game, including cooperative gameplay, they had to delay Forge mode, and they also delayed Season 2. But one of the questions is, when will we start to see this content come into Halo Infinite? And well, their original plan was to release a roadmap in January that would give us information about when we should expect different content to head over to Halo Infinite. Unfortunately though, that roadmap has now been delayed. This was confirmed by Joseph Staten, which said, "Hey folks, in November I said we'd have a Halo Infinite update on our seasonal roadmap, co-op, and Forge in January. We need more time to finalize our plans, so what we share is something you can rely on. This work is my top priority, and we'll have an update as soon as we can." So based off of this update, it does sound like some things might be a little fluid still. Not everything is exactly set in stone just yet. Basically, they don't want to put a roadmap out there until they're for sure when each piece of content will actually be in the player's hands. They don't want this roadmap to be outdated within a month because they have to delay a piece of content. So while this is disappointing, it just looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we get the official roadmap, hopefully sometime in February. Okay, so let's go and talk about Grand Theft Auto though, because Rockstar Games actually broke their silence on a few different things today. One with Grand Theft Auto 5, and then the other with the Grand Theft Auto successor, aka GTA 6. Now, we'll first kind of talk a little bit about Grand Theft Auto 5 here for a moment, because this one is happening rather soon. So we've kind of known for a little while now that Grand Theft Auto 5 and GTA Online would actually be heading over to next generation platforms, being the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. What we didn't know, though, was a release date, but, well, that has now been confirmed today. Rockstar Games did confirm today that GTA 5 and GTA Online will be heading over to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series on March 15th, which will include new graphics modes, technical advancements, and much more. You should expect 4K resolution with 60 frames per second, all of the bells and whistles that you would come to expect when it comes to these next generation platforms. Let's just kind of hope that they do a better job with this than what they did with that GTA collection that they released not long ago. That was pretty wretched, but nonetheless, there you have it. This will be the third generation of consoles that GTA 5 will have been released on. What's crazy about that, though, is that GTA 5 still to this day is selling extremely well. Regardless if this game actually launched on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, it is still massive 9 years later in 2022. So I'm sure a lot of GTA fans out there that has the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series will be pretty happy with that. What they'll probably be even more happy about, though, is that Rockstar Games did actually give us an update on Grand Theft Auto 6. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about how long it would be before we actually got to see GTA 6, considering all the success that they still currently have with GTA 5 and GTA Online, but they finally broke their silence on GTA 6, and let's just go and check out what they had to say. With the unprecedented longevity of GTA 5, we know many of you have been asking us about a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. With every new project we embark on, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we have previously delivered, and we are pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series is well underway. We look forward to sharing more as soon as we are ready, so please stay tuned to the Rockstar Newswire for official details. So there's actually a couple of things that you can take away from this, and the first of which is that the good news is that GTA 6 is indeed in development and that it is quote-unquote well underway. Now, what exactly that means kind of remains to be seen. That doesn't tell us when we'll actually get to see the game, it just means that the game has been in development for some time now. With that being said though, the fact that they were actually willing to talk about GTA 6 is a good sign that maybe we're going to get a reveal for this game sooner rather than later. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen this year or anything, but maybe we can get a reveal for GTA 6 sometime in 2023 with a release date to follow. Now, that's just speculation on my part, but the other thing that they did note here is that they are looking to significantly move beyond what we have previously delivered. Now, we saw what they did with Red Dead Redemption 2 last generation, and to this day, that is one of the most impressive games to hit the market. There's very few studios capable of doing what they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, especially in regards with how detailed that world was, how detailed they went when it comes to the animations. Whether you liked Red Dead Redemption 2 or not, it was very impressive. So I think that we're going to see a similar jump here with Grand Theft Auto 6. Let me know, though, what would you like to see from Grand Theft Auto 6, and when do you think we're actually going to get a reveal for this game? Let me know in the comments below. Now, we also had a big PlayStation 5 game that was just revealed, being Ghostwire Tokyo. This is a game that has drawn a lot of interest since it was first announced, but there's also been a lot of questions regarding this game as well. We hadn't really seen much about Ghostwire Tokyo up to this point. I mean, we saw some little snippets here and there, and it did show that it had some horror elements to it. But now we've gotten a full-blown gameplay reveal, and this game looks crazy. I mean, I don't know if this was quite what I was expecting, because Tango Gameworks is, of course, known for horror games. The head of the studio would be Shinji Mikami, which has worked on horror franchises in the past, such as Resident Evil. He's worked on Dino Crisis, and he's also, of course, worked on The Evil Within over at Tango Gameworks. So based off of their history, I think some were thinking this was going to be more of a horror game, but actually, this is an action-adventure game with some horror-based elements. What's so interesting about this game, though, is in how unique it is. The name itself, Ghostwire Tokyo, is very deliberate to both its setting and its gameplay. You are set in the world of Tokyo with all of these different paranormal enemies, and it definitely has a creepy vibe going on with that horror element, and that's where Tango Gameworks' expertise is really going to pay dividends here. But then there's the combat, which I think is where it really separates itself. Not only do I think the setting is really interesting in what they call authentic Tokyo, but with the combat, you're using all of these different elemental powers, and they say it's like these wire abilities that gives you control over the paranormal enemies. This game looks crazy, but one of the things that has me most excited is just how different it looks. It just looks like it's its own thing, and that seems like it's kind of hard to do in gaming anymore. So I like how innovative and creative they're being here with Ghostwire Tokyo. I mean, it's hitting all the right notes here. Ghostwire Tokyo definitely has my attention now, and now I'm just kind of hoping it's as fun as it looks. When can you play it, though? And this is where things are a little interesting, because on PlayStation 5, you're actually going to get to play it on March 25th. But keep in mind that Ghostwire Tokyo is technically owned by Xbox. Xbox acquired Bethesda, which owns Tango Gameworks. So this game, without a doubt, will eventually head to Xbox, and they did confirm here when that timed exclusivity deal ends on PlayStation 5. At the end of the reveal, they did say also available on PC, not available on other consoles until at least March 25th of 2023. Now again, considering that Xbox owns this game, more than likely they're probably going to be telling Tango Gameworks, get this ready for March 25th, and then it will come on to Xbox, and because they own this game, it will also be releasing directly into Xbox Game Pass. So I think everybody's going to kind of hope for this game to turn out to be a good one this year, again, when it releases on March 25th. Moving on, we did also get yet another update for Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I think by this point, it's been pretty evident in just how successful this game has been. We just talked about this yesterday, but Legends Arceus is the second fastest selling game on the Nintendo Switch in Japan, behind Animal Crossing New Horizons. But now we also got an update worldwide, which shows that Pokemon Legends Arceus since launch has sold 6.5 million units. That is absolutely insane, and it does mean that Legends Arceus is now the fastest selling Pokemon game ever on the Nintendo Switch. And it does have quite a bit of competition when it comes to Pokemon games on the Switch. That means it's selling faster than Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's selling faster than Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and it's also selling faster than Pokemon Let's Go. Now, we still need to see the longevity when it comes to Legends of Arceus and see how successful it is long term, but the fact that it is outselling Sword and Shield, which right now is the second best selling Pokemon game ever, that is quite impressive. Even if you take a look at Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, that's already in the top 10 best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch, so it is outpacing both of those games. Yeah, this just kind of shows you the excitement surrounding this change for the Pokemon franchise. It's the evolution that I think a lot of fans have been waiting for years. And now that we've finally got a Pokemon game like this, not only do we see that it's actually good, but there's potential here to make it even better in the future. And with the type of success that they're having with Pokemon Legends Arceus, I think that they got to be seriously looking at this, thinking of how they can incorporate some of the ideas of Legends Arceus in some of the more mainline entries. One thing that we have been seeing here, even with the mainline games, is they have been toying with the idea of a more open world Pokemon game. They did have the wild area in Sword and Shield, which might be different, but it still seems like that they're toying around with this idea. So I think with them truly being able to experiment with this idea in Legends Arceus, it could give them some ideas to maybe incorporate this somehow into a mainline entry, and also have things included like gym battles and more trainer battles included. So we'll see if they can maybe do that in the future, or maybe they'll just kind of have two separate franchises. They'll have the more traditional Pokemon games that has a heavy focus on competitive, and then they can have the Legends style of games that's more focused on that single player content. We'll see how all this plays out, but with them having so much success with Legends Arceus and just seeing how fans really are enjoying this game, I think that they have to be looking at this thinking what else they can do with this style of game going forward. Let's go moving over to the poll of the day, though, and something that Sony revealed a few days ago is that they're going to be working on a lot more live service games this generation for the PlayStation 5. In fact, they're actually going to be releasing 10 live service games by the year of 2026. So I wanted to ask you all, do you like their sudden focus on live service games? I mean, PlayStation typically has been known for their single player content. So I wanted to know your all's thoughts about this. And well, only 10% of you said that yes, you like this idea, while 51% of you said no, and then 34% of you said that you're taking the wait and see approach. So it definitely seems like you all aren't 100% sold on this, to say the very least, which I do think it's understandable because, again, Sony is much more known for their single player content. The last time that they really tried to focus on multiplayer games was back on the PlayStation 3. They actually produced some pretty good multiplayer games back on the PlayStation 3 as well. People might not remember this all that much, but they did have Killzone, there was Resistance, Mod Nation Racers. I loved Mod Nation Racers. They had PlayStation All-Stars, there was MAG, and then also SOCOM. So back then they were trying a little bit more with their multiplayer content. It's just they kind of got away from that on the PlayStation 4 by focusing solely on those big cinematic blockbuster experiences. Of course, they did find a lot of success with that last generation. A lot of fans, they just do absolutely love PlayStation single-player content. So I do understand some of the apprehension whenever they talk about releasing a lot of live service games this generation. It's just not necessarily what is expected from PlayStation. But at the same time, I'm with you all that are kind of taking the wait-and-see approach, because as I pointed out, they have produced some pretty good multiplayer games in the past, and on top of that, they're not necessarily going away from their single-player content. Really, the way I'm looking at it is they're just kind of expanding even further and adding more content alongside the single-player content that they've already had so much success with. We're already hearing a lot of talk that Naughty Dog has multiple games in development, including Factions, which I'm sure is probably one of the live service games that they're talking about. Then with Sucker Punch, they released Ghost of Tsushima, which had a great single-player campaign, and then later on they released a multiplayer side as well. And now we're also hearing with Guerrilla Games, of course, they have Horizon Forbidden West releasing later this month, but we're hearing that they might also have a second game in development with some live service elements. So I think several of their studios are actually capable of working on multiple games, including the single-player games that fans know and love. Then on top of that, we're hearing about games like Twisted Metal, which will probably have some live service elements to it. Then they partnered up with Jade Raymond's new studio and Firewalk Studios. Both of those are working on live service style of games. So you can kind of see where a lot of these live service games are actually already coming from. Of course, they also have Bungie now, which is kind of their thing in general. So it does seem like that they have a big focus on live service games this generation, but at the same time, I do expect that they'll release plenty of big single player games that, again, that fans know and love so much. At the end of the day, though, the most important thing will be, is the game good? And whether that's multiplayer or single player, if the game's good, then I think fans, for the most part, will be pretty happy. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.